The dog returned at dusk, claws striking the cold glass as the couple froze in fear, unsure why it appeared with such urgency tonight. Every visit felt deliberate, each bark carrying a strange pressure, as though it begged them to notice something hidden in the dark. Its frantic breathing fogged the window, revealing desperate eyes that searched the room like it expected their vanished boy to appear. They exchanged anxious whispers, neither daring to voice the thought that the dog might know something they were terrified to ask. Neighbors claimed it was coincidence, yet the couple sensed intention in every scrape, a pattern repeating with haunting precision. Sometimes the dog pressed its muzzle firmly to the glass, trembling as if something unseen stalked the yard behind it in silence. Hope flickered beneath their fear, for its visits felt purposeful, as though it carried a silent message carved from their deepest grief. Tonight its growl rose higher, almost a cry, its paws dragging downward like it wanted to claw a doorway straight into their home. The couple hesitated, hearts pounding, torn between opening the door or locking everything tighter against the unknown outside. A heavy stillness filled the room as the dog stared in, its gaze sharp, pleading, burdened with secrets it couldn't speak aloud. The air thickened around them, the house seeming to shrink as the dog's low whine echoed with something chillingly familiar. Night settled fully outside, shadows stretching long, and still the dog refused to leave, guarding their window like a final warning. The next evening the dog arrived earlier, pacing outside the window as if time itself was running out for what it needed to show. Its growls carried less anger now and more urgency, like it feared something approaching that the couple could not yet perceive. They watched its silhouette tremble under the porch light, each shake hinting at a terror no ordinary animal should understand. When the husband stepped closer, the dog stiffened, raising its head sharply as though sensing a presence lurking behind him. A cold breeze drifted through the room despite closed windows, carrying a faint whisper that didn't belong to either of them. The dog slammed its paws against the glass again, eyes widening as if warning them to move away from the darkened hallway. The wife felt the hair on her arms rise, her breath hitching as the house seemed to exhale a sound that wasn't from the wind. Something unseen shifted in the far corner, too subtle to catch clearly, but enough to make both of them step back in alarm. The dog's gaze darted between them and that shadowed spot, barking in frantic bursts like it demanded they finally notice it. The husband reached for the lights, but the switch flickered uselessly, plunging the room into a thickening, uneasy gloom. Outside, the dog pressed its face to the glass again, teeth bared not in threat but in a desperate plea for them to understand. And as the hallway behind them deepened into darkness, the couple realized the dog wasn't trying to frighten them. It was afraid. The following night the dog brought something, dropping a torn piece of fabric at the window that froze their blood instantly. The cloth was small, pale, and frayed, too familiar to ignore, and identical to the shirt their son wore the day he disappeared. The wife fell to her knees, trembling, while the husband stared at the dog, demanding answers from an animal that only barked sadly. The dog nudged the fabric toward the glass again, whining softly as if begging them to accept this painful piece of truth. Outside, the yard felt unnervingly still, as though every sound had been swallowed by something watching from deeper shadows. The husband stepped closer, pressing his palm against the window, but the dog backed away, looking toward the dark street urgently. Its stiffened posture and raised ears hinted that something was moving out there, something it wanted them to see or avoid. The wife clutched the fallen cloth, her tears blurring the room as questions spiraled, darker than any they'd dared imagine before. A distant thump echoed beyond the yard, faint but heavy, the kind of sound that carried weight no natural creature could make. The dog's head snapped toward it immediately, barking with sharp, fearful bursts that shook the tension in the silent house. A chill swept through the couple, the kind that came not from cold, but from a truth getting closer with every passing night. And as the dog growled low, eyes fixed on the dark street, they felt certain the fabric wasn't the only thing it had come to deliver. The next night the dog refused to approach the window, standing several feet back as if terrified of crossing an unseen boundary. Its body remained tense, tail low, gaze flicking nervously across the yard as though expecting something to emerge at any moment. The couple called out gently, trying to coax it closer, but their voices only made the dog whine, stepping back with trembling legs. A sudden movement flashed across the lawn, a blur of shadow that vanished before they could fully register what they had seen. The husband instinctively reached for the door, but the dog barked sharply, shaking its head as if begging him not to step outside. The wife clutched his arm, feeling a pressure in the air like the moment before a storm breaks, heavy and impossible to ignore. Lights from nearby houses flickered uncontrollably, one by one, as though the entire neighborhood was reacting to the same presence. The dog lowered its body, ears pinned back, staring at the bushes with such fear that the couple felt their stomachs twist painfully. Another sound echoed, a dragging scrape across pavement, too slow and deliberate to belong to any animal they knew existed. The wife whispered their son's name involuntarily, her voice cracking as hope and dread tangled into unbearable uncertainty. The dog whimpered and looked directly at them, its eyes saying what its voice couldn't, that whatever took their boy was returning. And as the scraping sound grew louder, emerging from the darkened street, the couple realized they weren't ready for what came next. The dog appeared before sunset this time, pacing anxiously in circles, looking toward the woods across the road with rising panic. Its paws scraped the dirt as it barked frantically, not at the couple now, but toward the growing darkness between distant trees. The husband opened the window slightly, and the sudden gust of cold air that rushed inside felt wrong, unnatural, and purposeful. The wife felt the room contract around her, the air heavy with a strange hum, like something beyond sight was drawing closer fast. The dog lunged toward the trees, stopped abruptly, then looked back at them with a desperation that bordered on heartbreak. In its mouth, it carried another object, a small toy belonging to their son, damp, dirt-stained, and unmistakably unsettling. When it dropped the toy, the couple felt their breath leave their lungs, recognizing the item they searched months for in despair. The forest beyond the street pulsed with a faint glow, flickering between branches like a dying light or a guiding signal. The husband leaned out, calling the dog, but it kept its stance, frozen, staring into the woods as though tied to some grim duty. A distant cry echoed from deep within the trees, faint yet undeniably human, a sound that struck them like a bolt to the heart. The dog barked once, loud, sharp, urgent, gesturing toward the forest with a motion that felt almost impossibly deliberate. And with that single cry still ringing in their ears, the couple understood. The dog wasn't just delivering clues, it wanted them to follow. The couple stepped outside at last, the dog backing away slowly, guiding them with cautious glances toward the shadowed tree line. The air grew colder with each step, humming faintly as though something ancient vibrated beneath the earth, awakening at their approach. The wife clutched the toy tightly, its dirt-stained edges shaking in her hand as memories of their son flooded painfully back. The dog paused suddenly, ears raised, muscles tense, staring into a stretch of darkness where no light could pierce the branches. A faint rustling emerged there, soft at first, then layered with whispers that didn't resemble wind or any human voice known. The husband moved protectively beside her, but the shadows shifted subtly, as if acknowledging their presence with slow awareness. The forest seemed to breathe around them, branches leaning inward like they were bending to listen, holding the night unnaturally still. The dog growled low, warning them, glancing back as though urging them to hurry before something unseen fully awakened ahead. A thin mist unfurled from the ground, sliding across their feet, cool and deliberate, spreading like it sought to pull them closer. The wife whispered their son's name again, and the forest responded with a faint echo that wasn't quite his voice anymore. The dog barked sharply, tail rigid, guiding them forward, each step carving a path toward danger they could no longer avoid. And as they crossed the first threshold of trees, the night behind them sealed shut, as though retreat was no longer an option. Deeper inside the woods, the ground softened beneath their shoes, each step sinking slightly as if the earth sought to hold them. The dog kept glancing upward, tracking something moving silently above, though the branches revealed nothing in the dim light. Strange markings appeared on nearby trunks, long scratches, uneven and spiraling, glowing faintly with a pale bluish shimmer. The wife traced one with her trembling finger, feeling a warmth pulse beneath the bark, as though the tree itself carried memory. A distant rhythmic thud echoed, slow and heavy, not like footsteps, but like a heartbeat belonging to something immense. The dog whimpered, nudging them forward, avoiding certain paths with instinctive fear, guiding them with uncanny precision. A sudden gust swept through the forest, carrying the faint scent of their son's shampoo, familiar enough to break their resolve. The husband spun toward the smell, eyes wide, but found only darkness shifting subtly, forming shapes that dissolved too fast. The wife swore she heard their son call out again, but the voice was warped, stretched thin, echoing from every direction. The trees grew denser, forming a corridor that seemed shaped by design, pulling them deeper with a force they couldn't resist. The dog halted abruptly, teeth bared, eyes fixed ahead as the shadows rippled like something enormous brushed past unseen. And before they could react, a cold whisper threaded through the branches, speaking their son's name with unsettling precision. The whisper slithered through the trees again, closer this time, weaving between branches with a mocking familiarity they dreaded. The wife clutched the husband's arm, shaking violently, knowing instinctively that the voice wasn't their son, but something imitating him. The dog growled low, stepping in front of them, its body rigid as it stared ahead at a clearing slowly emerging through the dark. The ground brightened faintly as they approached, lit by a strange glow rising from soil disturbed by deep, claw-like gouges. An object lay in the center, half buried in loose dirt, a small flashlight their son always carried during nighttime adventures. The husband knelt swiftly, brushing dirt away, and the sight of the cracked plastic made his throat close with grief and dread. The forest reacted instantly, branches shifting in a chorus of creaks, as though displeased by their discovery of the lost item. The dog barked fiercely, circling them, trying to keep whatever lurked beyond the clearing from closing in too quickly. The mist thickened suddenly, swirling in deliberate patterns that coiled through the trees like serpents guarding ancient secrets. A low rumble vibrated through the ground, deep and resonant, shaking the leaves as though something massive stirred beneath. The wife felt a presence brush past her, cold and weightless, whispering fragments of their son's voice that shattered her composure. And in that moment, they realized the forest didn't just contain answers, it wanted something in return for revealing them. The dog stepped toward a narrow path branching off the clearing, its fur raised, gaze fixed on something beyond human perception. The couple followed hesitantly, their breaths merging with the fog as the forest tightened around them in a suffocating embrace. The path narrowed further, lined with stones carved with symbols unfamiliar to them, radiating a faint rhythmic pulse of light. The husband trailed his fingers across one stone, feeling a warmth that didn't belong to nature, as if it carried trapped memories. The wife felt a sudden pull in her chest, like an invisible thread tugged her forward, guiding her toward an unseen destination. Then, a soft cry drifted through the trees, a child's voice, thin, fragile, and unmistakably belonging to their missing son. The sound froze them instantly, hope clashing violently with terror as the forest itself seemed to hush in anticipation. The dog barked sharply, not in warning but in encouragement, nudging them faster as though the voice might fade if they hesitated. Branches twisted overhead, forming an arch that appeared almost ritualistic, crafted by forces far older than the forest itself. The mist parted slowly, revealing faint footprints embedded in the soil, small, recent, and leading deeper down the path ahead. The wife dropped to her knees, touching the prints with trembling hands, tears blurring her vision as recognition shattered her fear. But before they could move again, a deep snarl echoed behind them, signaling that they were no longer alone in the dark woods. The snarl grew louder, resonating through the trees with a feral hunger that made the dog step protectively in front of them. Its body stiffened, and for the first time, true fear filled its eyes, warning them that the creature following wasn't of this world. The wife clung to the husband as twigs snapped behind them, each break closer, deliberate, as if the thing hunted them slowly. The shadows thickened unnaturally, pulling together into a mass that writhed between trees, shifting with slow, predatory intent. The dog barked aggressively, forcing the couple forward, guiding them toward the deeper path where the footprints continued. A towering silhouette formed within the darkness, its shape wrong, bending in ways no human or animal skeleton could possibly move. The forest seemed to recoil from the figure, branches bending away as though repelled by something ancient and corrupted. A chilling whisper oozed from the creature, mimicking their son's voice again, soft and pleading, but twisted with malice beneath. The wife covered her ears, shaking, recognizing the tone, the same false echo they had heard months ago the night he vanished. The dog lunged forward, teeth bared, forcing the shadowy mass to recoil slightly, buying them seconds they desperately needed. The husband grabbed the wife's hand, pulling her along the path as the creature surged again, its growl shaking the ground beneath. And as they ran deeper into the forest, guided only by the dog and fading footprints, they realized the truth. This thing had taken him.